You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
The PSYOPs division of your community put out fake story after fake story just to discredit the central idea.
Which should never have been aired.
The Directorate of Targeting and Information Operations from the MOD was feeding allegations directly to the front pages of the national tabloids. And, as we all know, a lie is best hidden between two truths, or, in the case of attacking my government, one truth hidden within many lies. Look, we gave everyone 10 good years to make money. 10 years in which we had nothing but substantial growth. But that wasn't enough, was it? The energy costs went up, so did the cost of living, and the risky lending practices of the banking system were laid out for all to see. When one system no longer works, then it's right to try something else. I was right. I don't care how many were upset in East London. Something had to be done. Something should be done now.
Those in power like the status quo as it is.
And that's your real job, isn't it? Leave well alone. Leave the money in the hands of the adults.
And you threatened that. In the space of 1 week, your government put forward a message that was so wholly unacceptable that hidden interests were forced to show their hands and threaten the futures of the democratically elected government. The reason for the show of strength was you. You made sure that the question of who controls this nation's money was raised before the public. People who had never even considered before the bits of metal in their pockets were suddenly aware that there might be an alternative. Your idea of bringing the national currency back within the hands of those responsible to the people was, I have to admit, admirable. But that was not what those in the true community, the banking community, wanted to hear. You wanted to remove control of this nation's money from those that like things just the way they are. You knew the game you were playing, the risk you were taking with your government. At that level, you knew what you were doing. Independence was given to the Bank of England. You can't have it back. That decision stopped the city from turning against you, and for 10 years you had nothing but good times. But times change. The global economy turned south, and you suddenly wanted control back over the money. The answer was no. 3 cabinet ministers thrown out, the government, your government, covered in the allegation of sleaze and corruption, like all the others, and even you finally removed from office.
Why did you really come here?
What is in your book, Mr. Linstead? And what is so dangerous that it's not in your book? What are you thinking of leaking to a journalist? What are you not saying, Mr. Linstead? This is what I'm doing here. This is what we'd really like to know.
Then this is where the game begins.
The game begins?
I knew that the security services of this country would not simply walk away and leave me alone, even if I promised to be a good boy. When one starts down this particular road, one must know where one is heading.
And where is that?
Then I'll take you on a little journey. A journey that might help explain how it all played out and where we go from here. Let me move forward with my story, if you don't mind.
Please.
Your friends at GCHQ were of course recording every mobile telephone call that the Cabinet ever made, and I'm sure all landlines and emails were directly transcribed and encoded for possible future reference. Sorry, blackmail. The first of the subsequent stories were being printed. Mistakes of the past, errors of judgment, out there for all to see. The battle lines appear to have been drawn. Indeed, they were. The tanks at Heathrow, Stansted, Luton, and Gatwick were symbols of that. Oh, yes, I remember the public claim of a terrorist threat, but we both know the real message. Soldiers on the streets, the threat of not only stopping people from coming in, but also to send me the message of you're not getting out.
You think the establishment was that afraid of what you might have done when you were in office?
What frightens the establishment is betrayal from within. Anyone on the outside who screams blue murder might be accurate, but is always deniable. But someone on the inside is of course harder to dismiss, and the establishment sees the message as a betrayal from one of their own. If I were to tell you what I intend to reveal, you might not like it. Your bosses might want to stop it from being published.
You think they will fear a book?
They will fear the idea within the book.
And what idea is that?
You mentioned before that you'd worked around the world.
I did.
As a diplomat?
Yes.
You were in Colombia and Iraq to secure foreign oil, and Afghanistan to monitor opium production, neither of which this country could survive without.
I think you'll find that a difficult proposition to substantiate.
You think so? People are no longer blind, Miss Wilson. The mysteries of the world around them are now explained. Every household in the country now realizes how connected they are to a healthy oil supply, and what the effects of losing that stream of cheap and available power would be. If you don't believe me, ask the public if their fuel bills have gone up or down. We both know the answer to that. And what can we say about Afghanistan? Well, what can't we say about Afghanistan? A country for which the last 1,000 years never happened. Does that sound cruel?
Officially, we're doing great work.
And noble work as well. Opium production is now up 90%. It was in the papers.
Well, I'm not sure where.
The worldwide drug business is worth many hundreds of billions of dollars. 80% of the globe's opium supply is grown in Afghanistan, and the money goes through the financial centers of the planet. The city here takes its share, and it props up the nation's businesses.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Oh, I'm sure the parents of the drug addicts would be most interested to know why their offspring ruin their lives for the benefit of others.
Is that what the book contains?
Amongst other things.
It is true that you could expose the extent to which drug capital has influence within financial circles. But who would this serve? Do the people want to know? Does anyone in your line of work wish to raise the subject? No, of course they don't. And why should they? No one, even in today's wonderful world of the modern media, wants to discuss it. Why? Because they all have their noses in the trough. Regardless of what you might think, Mr. Linstead, we are not the bad guys in this. We do genuinely want the best for the country.
Oh, please don't give that sanctimonious...
We are out fighting for what is right.
You look after the money. That's what your true job is. It's what we have secret services for. Fighting idealism in one form or another was only ever for the public. What you really do is secure that money.
So you say.
I do.
Where are we going with this?
Yes. My story. Now, where were we?
3 months before your resignation.
Ah, well remembered. But then you lot rarely forget anything, do you?
You were saying?
Oh, yes. Yes. It was the 21st, as I recall. I rose early, ate breakfast, scanned the papers for anything interesting, anything about me. But there on the front pages of almost every newspaper were photographs of tanks at Heathrow. Security procedures were in full operation, uniformed soldiers surrounded the perimeter, jets flying overhead, TV announcing that the national threat level was now at Alpha Red Maximum Terror, whatever that means. On the box, reporters spoke to the camera, showing dramatic pictures of our boys protecting the country. All stirring stuff. You could almost hear the Land of Hope and Glory in the background. At 8 o'clock, I was switched off to the Cabinet Office Briefing Room A. Cobra presented me with a file detailing threats received from the intelligence services of terrorists planning to blow up various portions of the airport. As you can imagine, I was suspicious. It had the same fingerprints all over it as the previous document. But what could I do? The nation appeared to be under attack. The government needed to look strong, in control, taking decisive action. I went to the Commons, made a statement, answered the predictable questions, and then returned to Downing Street. Between ourselves, I intended to put the afternoon snooker on, but events. C, your boss, was waiting for me. Do you know what happened next?
I've heard rumours.
We met in my office.
Yes.
She wasn't what I would call a happy bunny.
I can imagine.
You pretend to be her.
Again?
Indulge an old man.
You're not that old, Mr. Linstead.
Then indulge a man that feels old. Look, stand over there by the door. You come over, hands on the back of the chair.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister.
Yo, dude. An interesting theatrical production going on out there. Have you seen the telly? It fits in very nicely between the commercials.
A private member's bill has been tabled for the next session of Parliament. A proposed bill not mentioned in the Queen's speech.
Perhaps Her Majesty missed out that page.
Perhaps it was never written.
Perhaps it wasn't.
The bill in question is to discuss the abolishment of the Bank of England and the printing of a new currency.
Is that a fact?
You were warned before, Prime Minister, about persisting with this idea. You will not be told again.
So you say.
You heard me, Prime Minister. This is your final warning.
That sounds ominous.
The threat level is real.
How much is all this costing? Whose budget is it coming out of? I've noticed how when it comes to fear, the wallets in Whitehall just open up and the pound signs, they gladly flow out. War, even domestic war, even war on the telly does send the cash right through the economy like blood through the veins.
The threat has been seen by the people.
Listen to me. The Cold War is over, and with it, the days of those in the shadows running the country.
The central bank runs this country, Prime Minister, as I'm sure you've long since worked out. It always has. Your kind make the speeches, shake the hands, kiss the babies, and put on a show we call democracy that fills the 6 o'clock news. Stability is the cornerstone of this nation. It's what it takes to keep the whole thing ticking over. There is no demand for a new pound, as you call it, and certainly not in the city, financial circles, us, or those in the bank itself. Now, I'm sure you would not want the money to be withdrawn from circulation now, would you, Prime Minister? I think we can both agree on that one, can't we? Neither of us wants to see harm done to the public that the withdrawal of funds would undoubtedly result in. You don't want a recession, do you?
Perhaps you'd like another drink?
Are we out?
Just for a moment.
Pity, I was just getting into the part.
I won't tell your bosses if you don't.
What makes you think they don't already know? So, where are we now? 6 months back? 3 months?
Let's bring the story to its conclusion. The final act, as they say in the theatre.
Then where exactly are we?
My office again at number 10, 1 hour before I stepped out into the sunshine and declared that my time was over.
And you want me to reprise my role?
Please. I asked C to join me that afternoon. I had something which, following our conversations, I had to discuss with her, but I felt I already knew her position. However, I'm a reasonably fair man on the whole, and I wanted to sound her out about 1 or 2 ideas that I had. Actually, it was about one very big idea. Thank you for coming. Thank you for tearing yourself away from all that, well, whatever it is you really do. I know we didn't exactly hit it off before, but I'd like to think we could start again, turn over a new leaf and bury the hatchet.
In which one of us?
Very good, very good. Very quick, if I may say so. Very off the cuff. We don't like each other, do we?
My personal feelings are irrelevant, Prime Minister.
It's taken me a long time to realise how much of the world is an illusion and how little of it has any real substance. I see you're shocked, a man in my position speaking in such a manner, but let me be completely honest with you. I had a revelation.
A revelation? About what?